Mrs. Thomas, through the chair.
Through you, Chair. I believe what we heard today then from Ms. Telford and the testimony that she provided was the following. Today she was asked a series of very simple questions. They were questions that did not require top security clearance. And yet there was a failure to give proper answers. We asked questions with regards to the Prime Minister's knowledge. We asked questions about the briefings that he received. We asked questions with regard to whether or not he was informed concerning Beijing's interference in our elections. Ms. Telford refused to provide simple answers to these very simple questions.
Oh, yeah.
This is a meeting that we've been looking forward to, and I know it's really important to all of us, and therefore I will ask that we ask a question or make a comment and we provide time for an answer. And I will also let you know that the health of interpreters and the people who do their important work on Parliament Hill is paramount for me. Because it's the way we advance a country with 2 official languages, and that's something I think most of us wholeheartedly believe in. So that is my signal to you once again that I would expect only one person is speaking at a time, and that we maintain a little bit of eye contact to know that we want the floor to pass. However we do, we're capable of doing this. The clerk and I will maintain a consolidated speaking list of members wishing to speak. And today we have with us Ms. Katie Telford, Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister. And as a person who observes the Sikh faith, a member of the Sikh community, I do want to wish everyone celebrating a happy Vaisakhi. This is a really big deal in our community, so I just want to...
These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
Express that to everyone who is here in person and watching. So thank you. Ms. Telford, you will now have time for an opening statement. And
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, Ms. Telford. Thank you for your attendance today. Ms. Telford, did the Prime Minister receive a series of briefings from Canada's National Spy Agency beginning in January 2022 on Beijing's election interference, specifically in the 2019 election?
I believe you received from the National Security and Intelligence Advisor and from the Privy Council Office a listing of briefings that the Prime Minister has received on the subject.
Yes, you're referring to the document that was undertaken by the National Security Officer, Jody Thomas, on March the 1st of this year that we received this morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I've looked at this, and there's no indication about any briefings in January of 2022. But noteworthy, the commentary on the beginning of page number 1 indicates the list is not exhaustive, as the records are not complete in all cases. And this only represents formal briefings as opposed to informal briefings. So I'll ask the question again. Did the Prime Minister receive a series of briefings beginning in January 2022 on Beijing's election interference in the 2019 election? Yes or no?
I think, Madam Chair, the answer may have been given in the question, which is that in the preamble in the memo, it talks about how there's all kinds of conversations that go on about some of these topics that can't all be captured in terms of formal briefings, and you have the list of formal briefings that are provided in the memo.
So I could take that as a yes, that he would have received some informal briefings in and around that time frame, January of 2022, as reported by Global News on November the 7th of 2022.
I can't speak specifically to what was discussed in briefings over the course of those months and whether it was related to what was in the reporting.
Again, Ms. Telford, I'm not asking for specifics. I'm asking you to confirm that is more than likely, in fact, it did happen, that he would have received briefings along those lines in January of 2022, notwithstanding that it's not repeated in this particular document that we got today.
did and more than likely, in my experience, are different things. I think it is quite possible that there were discussions throughout that time period around foreign interference. As I think the Prime Minister said yesterday, we have talked about these subjects a lot over many years because there's been a lot of activity and a lot of work that this government has done on this front.
And the Prime Minister was briefed on China's Toronto consulate directing a large clandestine transfer of funds to at least 11 federal election candidates and numerous Beijing operatives who worked as their campaign staffers. That was the subject matter of those series of briefings in January of 2022. Are you confirming that?
No, Madam Speaker, I can't, unfortunately, I can't provide information about what I have or have not been briefed on in an intelligence setting or in a public setting about intelligence. But what I can remind the members through you, Madam Chair, of is what the NSIA said when she was here, actually on March 1st at this very committee, and she said the connection that was being made between 11 candidates and funds that you're describing, that was inaccurate.
If this was completely inaccurate, if this story of Global News on November the 7th was completely inaccurate, you would have said so, your Prime Minister would have said so, your members of Cabinet would have said so. So I'm asking you specifically, apart from the issue of clandestine transfers to 11 candidates, the other subject matter of those briefings, is that false? Is that inaccurate in any way?
I'm sorry, you might have to clarify the question, Madam Chair.
You've highlighted that there was an issue with respect to the Prime Minister never receiving any information respect to the transfer of monies to specific candidates. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the broader description of evidence and intelligence that was shared with the Prime Minister in a series of briefings in January 2022, as reported by Global News. Is that inaccurate?
So, Madam Speaker, I can't speak to the reporting that Global News spoke about. I can speak to my experience, which is that there have been a lot of conversations over many years. It's why all the different mechanisms that I outlined were put in place leading into the 2019 election and the 2021 election. There were further steps taken in between those two elections.
Thank you. Did the Privy Council Office prepare a document entitled Special Report, date stamped January 2022? Yes or no?
I can't speak to that.
Why?
Because I'm not sure what document you're referencing. If you can give me some more information, I probably still won't be able to confirm whether or not it's something I saw, but I'd be happy to try.
It was reported in the Global News of March the 8th. It was reviewed by Sam Cooper, the reporter. It was date stamped and finalized, suggesting it was intended to be read by the Prime Minister and senior aides, including yourself. It was derived from 100 CSIS reports from investigations beginning in January 2019 and produced by the Intelligence Assessment Secretariat, a division of the PCO. It was a part of a series of briefings beginning in January 2022, again confirming the large clandestine transfer of funds earmarked for the federal election from the consulate in Toronto, which transferred that funds to an elected provincial government official via a staff member of a 2019 federal candidate. You are responsible ultimately for the PCO. The PCO is the arm of the Prime Minister. It's his own department. They report to you. You control the PMO. Are you suggesting that this special report, as prepared by the Intelligence Assessment Secretariat, did not occur?
Okay, Ms. Telford, sorry, before I continue, I think as members of Parliament, we've all served in the House. And when you suggest you are referring to the chair in this role.
Yes, I
Mr.
am.
PROC, you are referring to me.
No, I'm not referring to you. You, Madam Chair.
I was hoping so. I did not hear those important through you two words.
Thank you.
But I did appreciate, for the most part, the exchange. And I think it was nice that we were able to let pauses so the interpreters can do their work. But if we were going to be at a spot that we are perhaps putting words in other people's mouths, then I need us to go through the chair.
Right. Madam Chair, will you allow the witness to answer the question?
It will be coming out of possible later time, but yes, I would love to do that. Ms. Telford.
So I should answer now? Okay. I just want to clarify, because you, through the chair, the member was asserting a number of things about what I do, and I want to go back to what I said in my opening statement about my role. The Privy Council office does not report to me. I manage the Prime Minister's office. I do, however, work very closely with the Privy Council office, and there's some extraordinary public servants in there, including one who reports directly to the Prime Minister, the National Security and Intelligence Advisor. And I want to remind the room again, Madam Chair, of what she said, which was that the connection that was being made between the 11 candidates and essentially much of what you're asserting there was inaccurate.
Thank you, and I appreciate you keeping that brief, because I do try to make sure that the time of the question answer are the same. And I will...
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Mrs. Thomas, through the chair.
Through you, Chair, I believe what we heard today then from Ms. Telford and the testimony that she provided was the following. Today, she was asked a series of very simple questions. They were questions that did not require top security clearance. And yet, there was a failure to give proper answers. We asked questions with regards to the Prime Minister's knowledge. We asked questions about the briefings that he received. We asked questions with regard to whether or not he was informed concerning Beijing's interference in our elections. Ms. Telford refused to provide simple answers to these very simple questions. We know that numerous intelligence documents were made available to the media and have been reported to the public. We referenced those documents throughout our questions today, and again, the questions that we put forward were skirted or altogether shot down. Now, what's quite convenient is that Ms. Telford cannot confirm the existence of documents that contain, of course, the most damning information concerning the Prime Minister. And with that, I'm talking about documents that reveal Beijing's interference in our elections, Beijing's motivation to elect Liberals to the House of Commons by providing paid staff members to these campaigns, as well as funneling hidden, secret, and illegal money to them. Ms. Telford was not able to discuss these documents conveniently. What's interesting, however, is that Ms. Telford had no problem whatsoever denying the existence of some documents. But when it came to this document, the document that shows Beijing's interference in order to elect Liberals, Ms. Telford did not deny the existence of that one. So I'll allow her silence to speak for itself. However, Ms. Telford also told us that the Prime Minister is briefed regularly. Ms. Telford also told us that she is the Prime Minister's right-hand individual, constantly with him. That, and I'll quote directly, the Prime Minister reads everything, and, quote, there is nothing that is ever kept from the Prime Minister, end quote. So given the fact that the Prime Minister reads everything and that nothing is ever kept from him, the committee must then assume that the Prime Minister was aware and that the Prime Minister chose to actively ignore and avoid the information, the briefings, and the warnings that were given to him by our top security and intelligence agency in this country when it comes to Beijing's interference. And one must conclude that the only reason to turn a blind eye to such information is certainly not in the best interest of the Canadian electorate, and so therefore only in the best interest of the Liberal Party of Canada, which of course benefited from this interference both by getting money and paid staff in order to secure their ridings. I'll leave it there.
Madam Chair,
there was no question, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Ms. Telford.
Madam Chair, it's interesting that I was accused of silence, then told I wasn't asked a question when I was trying to answer, and further was then being quoted in the statement that was just made. So apparently I did say something. And Madam Chair, I would just say that what was being alleged, or at least a part of what was being alleged there, were infractions of Elections Canada law, and there are mechanisms for those things to be investigated. And so I would just suggest that you be speaking to the appropriate agencies about what, if anything, should be happening on those fronts if those things are the case. And I think the member probably could have written this, Madam Chair, beforehand, and that was one of the reasons that I was concerned about, and I think many were concerned about whether or not it was the appropriate thing for me to be coming to this committee.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations, you're spending more money on taxes than on food, clothing, and shelter combined.
How many kids did you molest with Jeffrey Epstein?
More than just elbows. These are Muslim values. These are Canadian values.
Anyhow, what are you going to do? Trying to keep you informed. Aaron Canadian Looney trying to hit 30,000 subs. Help me get there. Thank you for watching this video. We'll catch you in the next one. Later, gang.